What is the number one mistake consultants, project managers, change leaders make when they are starting new transformation? What is one thing that can nearly ruin your project or at least make it so difficult to catch up? That is the subject of today's conversation. So let's go. Hi, Nadia Zhiksimbayeva here from Chief Reinvention Officer. This is a global community. We're in about 90 countries, uniting thousands of people who are helping each other figure out how to deal with change. Today, we're facing so many disruptions, one big crisis after another. So Chief Reinvention Officer is here to make us build those reinvention muscles so we can find our way out of any business disaster. Today's the subject of conversation came from many experiences I had, and only last week I had this experience again. So I thought I need to stop and make a video about this. So what am I talking about? We in Reinvention Agency deal with very different types of projects. We are helping with product innovation, business model reinvention. We're helping with a process reinvention. It's all over the map. And very often we are asked by our client to work with other consultants or internal experts, project leaders, change makers of different kind. We work with all big four, which would be Deloitte and PricewaterhouseCoopers and McKinsey and Boston Consulting Group. We work with niche consulting companies. We work with many other internal teams, legal team, for example, compliance team, engineers, R&D, all of those teams. And again, I come to a first meeting for the project. I come to help or facilitate or participate in the very first time people coming together to deal with reinvention, to deal with the crisis, and I see this thing repeating again and again. What am I talking about? When a consultant, an expert, or a project leader comes into a situation called in to help with a particular crisis, most of us feel like it's our job to come in and give advice. So what happens in those meetings? One of those experts or consultants start the conversation and almost immediately starts giving their opinion. I think you should do that. I think the best course of action is this. Our research in this area shows this. The answer seems to be the greatest contribution that consultants or project leaders can make. And that's understandable. We pride ourselves on our brains and our ideas. We are asked to be an expert, and we think what it means to be an expert is to start as fast as possible, as soon as possible, giving our expertise, giving our advice. The reality on the ground, however, for people sitting in the room, for people from the situation, engaged in the situation, this feels a bit difficult and very different. Very often I hear the behind the door water cooler conversation about these consultants coming in and telling us things we already know, but being paid 10 times than we are paid. We already tried that. We already done that. Why? Who do they think they are? Why are they coming in here on their big horses, swaying their swords? And that is the number one mistake I see. Consultants, project leaders, change makers jump in with answers too early in the process. What's the alternative? The alternative is right on the table. Start with questions. Before you offer your expert advice, before you start putting a position on the table or brainstorm a solution, start with questions. I'm sure there are many questions to ask around. What is going on? Who is involved? How the conditions change for the situation to emerge? How are we thinking about this? What are we thinking about that? Why do we think this situation emerged, and what are the drivers for this situation? There are tons of questions. There are also really good books that can help you deal with that. For example, Edgar Schein's book, Humble Inquiry. A couple of new books, A More Beautiful Question, or Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. All of those questions, all of those books and the questions offered in those books is a great place to help you build your inquiry muscle, not just advocacy muscle. And we know from research that when we compare inquiry and advocacy, the teams that perform best are the ones who have more inquiry, more questions in their discussions. So, number one mistake consultants make, they rush in with the answers before they really stop and make a real effort to ask meaningful questions. And just to tell you, questions are the type of things that start with what, how, why, when, open-ended type of questions. If you're asking a question, do you agree with me? That's not really a question. So make sure that when you're starting a project, before you jump in with your suggestions, with your proposals, with your answers to the situation your company is facing, start with a lot of good questions. You will be surprised how much you can get from that. Not only in terms of trust and respect and good team membership, team work of your team, but you can also get insights you are not even imagining. Number one mistake, starting with answers. Number one solution, start with questions. As always, put your solutions and comments under this video. Connect with us on chiefreinventionofficer.com, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are all there. Very happy to see you all, and I see you next time. Bye.